The rule came out at the top of this year, 2024. For that reason, the federal government has provided two separate timelines for people to comply with this rule. So if you had a company that existed before January 1, 2024, even if you created this company December 31st of 2023, right? If your company existed before January 1st, 2024, you have 1 year to submit this report. So you have until January 1 of 2025 to get your report in. Okay. So they're giving all of us business owners that have existed beforehand about a year to submit this report and comply. If you have created your company January 1, 2024, or anytime this year in 2024, you have 90 days.
Hey, Anna, do you think people are listening?
Yeah, why wouldn't they be? We make business so fun.
Don't we? In that case, let's introduce ourselves.
Hey, it's Anna and Selena and the 15-ish minute coffee chat podcast. Talking business doesn't have to be boring, so dive into our coffee chat conversations and learn something new for your small business.
All right, go. This is what we do. This is what we do.
Hey guys, welcome to season 13 of the 15-ish minute coffee chat, a conversation providing tips for every entrepreneur and business owner.
Now, have you completed the mandatory BOI reporting for your small business? Founding attorney Amanda Moncada-Perkins offers insight into what BOI reporting is and how to comply. 47% of small business owners don't know this information and are at risk of being fined. Come find out more about beneficial ownership information reporting for your small business.
So welcome. We are actually yes, we've switched over to pre-recording, but we know that Amanda's content is going to be amazing. It's the first episode to start off our season, and I don't think I could think of a better person. Amanda is a previous guest. We love the value she provides, which is how we got to this point, right? We continue to follow what Amanda does, which is how we were we had to ask her back to talk about BOI reporting. It's another filing that makes me sweat in my underarms.
Yeah, because it's mandatory. And when over half of the small businesses in the United States don't know that there's a mandatory new filing that has to be done by them, that's a big deal. Yeah. And so I feel very fortunate that we had Amanda on, because putting Amanda on made me sign up for her newsletter, and reading her newsletter is what told me about BOI reporting. And that's how we ended up here. And we want to make sure this information gets out to all the small business owners that watch the 15-ish minute coffee chat, because we're doing this in a very timely manner, in the sense of, if you're not aware of this, if you haven't looked into this, you need to start that process now.
And what I will say is, and we've talking to a lot of bookkeepers and CPAs, right? And the first thing they tell you is, hey, you need to be aware of this, but this is actually more of a legal matter. So you have to actually discuss any questions you have with a legal representative, a lawyer. So when Amanda shared this, I was like, oh, she would be perfect. I wonder if she'll say yes. I get goosebumps thinking about it. But I think this is why it's so important to build relationships, so that you're still looking out for each other and you're sharing people's expertise. And again, since we had Amanda on episode 95, and now she's going to be episode 125 or 123, I just watch her and I just am so inspired by her sheer intelligence, and we shared a little bit in the backstage. We're all moms. I just love that. So Anna, tell everybody what the call to action question is before we bring up her bio.
Yeah, before we get started with today's show, we just want to know from you, have you filed your BOI report? Have you filed already? Give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If you don't even know what this is, give us 2 thumbs down, right? And let us know that you're here because this is something totally brand new to you, because we're very interested in seeing where our listeners are at in terms of having this knowledge already. So let us know if you've already taken the steps to comply. And if not, then you are in luck. So Selena, let's pull up that bio and learn more about Amanda.
All right. So if you are new to knowing who Amanda is, she's amazing. She is a founding attorney of Staugia D Law. I might have said that a little weird because I'm on Coffee 10. She is a former second grade teacher turned attorney and negotiating phenom. And her experience ranges from closing multi-million-dollar corporate deals to teaching 7-year-old children multiplication and division using oranges and apples in a classroom. And she's proud of all of it. What a diverse, think about the flexibility that this woman has, because she can look in different places and see correlations because she's open to it. It's not in her bio, but that's just
harder.
Yeah.
Right? Honestly, which one's harder?
We're gonna have to ask her that.
I know, right? We'll ask her that.
It's the first question we're gonna ask her if she pops up. Get ready, Amanda. That's the first question. Amanda is a Chicago native, wife of a humble writing genius, and mother to now 2 beautiful baby boys. And we're so excited for her and this new mom of 2 now for her. She's served as an adjunct legal writing professor at DePaul Law, teaching future lawyers how to write excellent contracts and provide conscious counsel to their clients. She also runs a business consulting practice where she empowers successful, ambitious, women-led companies around the country to improve their operations and systems to create sustainable and profitable businesses. Yeah, how do you not love this lady? Let's bring her up. Amazing.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Anna and Selena. Thank you so much for having me on today. And what a privilege it is to be the first episode of the season. Thank you.
No, thank you also. Okay, we got to know before we do our coffee cup selfie with you, who's harder, the second graders or the big corporate CEOs?
Yeah, so it depends. They both have their challenges. Now, I will say the children are more difficult when it comes to trying to fake authenticity and sincerity, right? They can smell it a mile away. Right. So if you're trying to pull one over on them, you'll never stand a chance. It's not going to happen. But in terms of following instructions and listening to guidance, adults are far more challenging for sure.
You heard that today. This was not on the list of questions we sent to Amanda. So thank you for answering that.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, there's so much truth in that, across the board. As a business owner, I'm like, I know better than that. I'm not doing that.
Yes,
I apologize,
exactly.
Amanda. I apologize for all of us.
I have the grace.
Yeah. Good. And then you must have to have the psychology behind just working with the personalities of both, right? And Jedi mind tricks.
Right? And that's right. They apply in both spheres. So you just have to know which levers to pull and which to pull back on.
I love that so much. So why don't we do our coffee cup selfie that we love to do, water, whichever Amanda is drinking at this late in the day. And then we're going to jump into it. Yay. Oh, Merry Christmas. Yep. Hey, look, new mom. She's, All right. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Let's jump into it. We're going to put you in the power seat and Anna's going to ask you the first question.
I am. All right. So we're going to start off with just a very basic. What is BOI reporting and why is it required, Amanda?
Okay. I am going to call it the BOI reporting because I've just been using that term this whole time. So if you all hear me say BOI, it is BOI. But yes, so same thing. It's just the way that I've been talking about it. But so the BOI report is the beneficial ownership information report, as you all outlined earlier. And it is a mandated report, a federally mandated report that most business owners are going to need to submit by the end of this year, and certainly starting next year. And I'll get into some more information about that. This report is required under the federal act called the Corporate Transparency Act. This act was actually passed in 2001. And the purpose of this act is to cut down on what the federal government has called dirty money tactics. And those tactics being money laundering, tax evasion, and other types of schemes that people have been employing by using shell companies and have been able to get away with, because when you create a company, typically throughout our country, you don't really have to report who's behind that company. You don't really have to give information about the owners of that company most of the time. And so because of that, the federal government isn't really able to get all of the information as readily as it would like to see who's behind these schemes and what kind of companies are being set up so that they can try to crack down on those, like I said, dirty money tactics.
So it has a great reasoning for it, but also that means all the people that are honest and true good have now another thing that they have to do. And you said required. It is not a choice, correct?
Right.
It is, you must do.
Yes. So this report requirement has come out since the top of the year. So January 1, 2024, this rule went into effect. And as you mentioned, it is required. It's for any business that is defined as a reporting company. So that's pretty much everyone, unless you qualify for an exemption. And these exemptions, I think there are about 27 of them. They're very specific, and they're categorized in such a way that most people or most business owners will not fall into them. So we're talking about state licensed type of entities or certain charities, even other companies that are under strict federal monitoring. So there are very specific exemptions, and the vast majority of business owners will not fall into those. So in order to figure out if you do qualify for an exemption, I would encourage your listeners to speak to a legal representative, go into the FinCEN's website itself to find out more information. And when I say FinCEN, what I am referring to is the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. That is a government agency under the U.S. Treasury Department.
And we'll drop the links. Yeah, we'll drop the links. It has the actual government web page where it talks about BOI reporting, where it lists like all those exemptions and whatnot. We'll make sure and drop that link so you don't have to go searching for it. So I just to really put it in very simplified terms, if you are a sole proprietor all the way up to C Corp, S Corp, LLC, you have to file unless you fit one of those exclusions.
Yes. And let's make it even more bare bones than that. Even if you are a sole prop and you make $1,000 a year, that does not matter. Your revenue, we're not talking revenue. We're not talking how many employees you have. Unless you qualify for a specific exemption, you will likely fall under the purview of this rule, and you will likely need to file this report. So you can be a one-person shop, you can be a 50-person shop, you can make $1,000 a year, you can make $100,000 a year, or even more. Really, it's not about the revenue threshold so much as it's about making sure you qualify for an exemption.
Yeah, that's such good information, right? Because I think that just very much clears it up.
Yeah.
So you got to file, right?
Right.
For 99.9% of people listening to this show, you're going to have to file. Right. Maybe even 100%, to be honest.
No, 100%. And you know what? Thank you for saying the revenue. It didn't dawn on me that you're right. Some people might think, oh, like taxes, if I don't hit a threshold, I don't need to file. So then I don't need to. You made a really distinct correlation that I think is really important, because some people might have that mindset and then not realize, boy, you just got hit with a big fine. That's more than what you made last year just because you didn't fill out your BOI reporting. I'm going to call it BOI now too, Amanda, like during this session. I like that better.
It's easier to say.
Yeah. So super
now that we're in the know, now we can call it BOI reporting, right?
Yeah. I'm like, hi, Amanda. She taught me. This is what I know. No, yeah, I think that's super important. I love that, the distinction. I just want to make sure I pointed that out. If you make $1, it doesn't matter. If you made $1 million, it doesn't matter.
That's right. And I can talk a little bit about when you need to file this report too. And this further bolsters the fact that it doesn't matter the revenue, because the requirement to file is almost immediate after you've created the company. Okay. Right. So let's make a distinction here. The rule came out at the top of this year, 2024. For that reason, the federal government has provided two separate timelines for people to comply with this rule. So if you had a company that existed before January 1, 2024. Even if you created this company December 31st of 2023, right? If your company existed before January 1st, 2024, you have 1 year to submit this report. So you have until January 1 of 2025 to get your report in. Okay. So they're giving all of us business owners that have existed beforehand about a year to submit this report and comply. If you have created your company January 1, 2024, or anytime this year in 2024, you have 90 days from the time you organize this company, you receive your articles of organization or articles of incorporation from the state. You have 90 days from that day to comply with this rule and submit that report. And again, this is if you don't fall into an exemption. So I want to be mindful of those two timelines. Now, here's yet another one. Starting 2025, that 90-day window of you've created a new company, and now you need to submit a report, that actually drops down to 30 days. And right now, they're trying to give people as much time as possible to comply. Some people may say it's still not enough time this year, but those are the timelines. So I want people to be mindful of that too.
So it's almost like even more important to have these as a normalized kind of conversation when somebody starts a business. Hey, did you do your BOI filing? They're like, what are you talking about? Because we all know when we start a business, nobody comes to your door with a welcome basket and says, here, guys, make sure you do all these things now that you've, like you said, you've opened up your business. As you're talking about, I'm like, that is so scary to just not have, right? Like, I wish everybody had a welcome basket.
Yeah.
For your business.
I totally agree. When my clients come to me to help them start a company, they do get something like that. They get a overview. So they do exist, but I agree with you. If there could just be one that exists for everybody, that would be very helpful so that they know. And this is a conversation that I'm having all of my clients, whether they're clients that are coming to me for the first time or we have been working together for some time. These are conversations that are top of mind.
Okay, I have to ask this question because I love to be the voice of dissent here, right? Not so much dissent as much as thinking realistically. I'm a small business owner, but I'm not really a small business owner. I actually just have a side hustle and I just do occasional freelance work and I maybe make a couple of $100 here, a couple $100 there. Yeah, I put it on my income, whatever, but I haven't filed with the state. Are they really going to come searching me out, Amanda? Are they going to really come looking for me as a small business owner when that's all I'm doing?
So let me make sure that I say this carefully.
Hey, while Amanda thinks about this, I'm going to be like, Anna, you are the kind of person that makes me so irritated because I'm like, just follow the rule. Just follow the rule. You know what I mean? No, you don't know, but you're right.
Yeah, I think the people who have a side hustle, this is their mindset. This doesn't apply to me. And I think I just want to make sure we really hit home on that. It does apply to you. If you're making money outside, if you're making money as any kind of business owner, whether it's under your Social Security or an EIN number that you got from the IRS, this report is required.
So I do want to I appreciate you raising that question. And this is my response to that. So if you're a sole prop, it depends on what your jurisdiction does. So this is what I'm going to clarify. If you filed a document to organize your company with your state or jurisdiction, then that counts, right? That's a reporting company unless you fall under an exemption. Again, it doesn't matter how much revenue you're generating. You could generate $0. It doesn't matter. Okay. So if you have organized your entity with your state by filing a document with that state, then you need to check and see if you fall under an exemption. Otherwise, you're likely going to need to report. In terms of a sole prop, every jurisdiction differs. For some jurisdictions, they don't require you to file a document with the state. So you probably don't. I can't speak for those jurisdictions. I would say if you are a sole prop, talk to an attorney so that we can walk you through that, because there's a possibility that you may still need to report. Okay. But I want to say this again. If you file a document with your state or jurisdiction to organize your company, you will likely fall under this rule unless there is an exemption there. And it does not matter that you've generated $0 under your company. That's not the threshold here. That's not the metric here that they're looking for.
Yeah, I almost feel like, Anna, that would even be another legal question. You're like, hey, if you're making revenue and you are not doing all the proper legal things as a regular business, that itself can probably get you in trouble before even this part, right?
Right.
Like, yeah.
Those are, I'm just, yes. And I'm sorry for throwing like a curveball at you, Amanda. Just in my head, I'm thinking about that person who they started a business, but then let it just go to the wayside. And they're not doing anything with it. So in their minds, this business does not exist, but it's still an entity that's registered. And those are, I think that's where I was thinking, like, or you just do like maybe one little thing a year because you're just trying to make enough money to go on vacation to Disneyland with your kids. And that's all you're doing. And it's not that big of a deal. It's not a real business. And I think that's where that mindset like can really mess you up.
Get you in trouble.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think that gets to not practicing good corporate hygiene, period, for your company. So that's a bigger issue, right? Because if you're not even worried about filing your annual reports or having things in order because you look at this as it's not a big deal situation, then this BOI report is the furthest thing from your mind. And you probably couldn't care any less, right? And so there's nothing I can tell you about this BOI report that's going to change your mind about your business in general. And so I would say that's a matter of good corporate hygiene that person really needs to reflect upon.
Okay. I love that answer. And okay, so let's talk really quick then. And let me ask you this question. What are the consequences for not filing? What are we looking at if you miss that window?
The consequences are rather steep. And I want to state that before telling you what the consequences are. And I will say these consequences are in part the reason why there's a lot of pushback. There's also in part pushback against this BOI report for other reasons, such as data security and data privacy. And I can speak to that as well. But the consequences are rather steep. For example, if you do not report this information within the time frame allotted, consequences can result in civil penalties or even criminal penalties. For example, civil penalties can be up to $500 a day. And that is also to be adjusted for inflation. That $500 is probably actually more like $590 or something. They're going to adjust that for inflation. Criminal penalties can include up to 2 years in prison and additional monetary fines. So these are steep consequences for failure to report a document to the government.
Yeah, that can put you out of business if you don't pay attention. Amanda didn't say like just 500. It was like 500 something a day. Like a day.
Correct. Yeah. And so not just put you out of business, Selena, it could this can really put a stronghold on your livelihood. Right. And so it's not worth it. But this is also why it's abundantly important that small businesses are learning about this report requirement. Now, the pushback here is, wow, $500 a day, up to 2 years in prison, plus additional monetary fines. That is very steep for small business owners. And is all of that very necessary? This is the question. These are the conversations that are going around. And it's very onerous for small businesses. But again, in order to avoid those kinds of things, being timely with compliance means everything.
And I think this is why, right, we get a little bit of a paralysis when you're given this kind of information, because you're like, I want to make sure I do it. But also there's people that get overwhelmed by the information of I need to do it. And so I just think it is important to take a breath and just understand the ramifications of what happens if you don't, right? Which are worse than if you do. So you said that, Amanda. And even though I filed and I'm fine, I got really nervous for people that haven't done it yet. Like I just, because I'll just say this, it was a lot easier to file than I actually initially expected.
Yes. And I was just going to say, for a lot of small businesses, that would be the case. It will be relatively simple. And if you have questions, the FinCEN website does break down answers very nicely, but also speak to a legal representative. And I'm glad that you mentioned that accountants are actually stating, talk to a legal representative, as opposed to just stepping in the gap and trying to speak on something that is outside of their scope of expertise. So I would encourage your listeners to do that as well. It may be worth having a conversation with an attorney or another legal professional. But you're right, it's relatively straightforward, especially if you are a small business and it's just maybe you or one other person. For companies that have more complex structures, it may be worth working with a legal professional to help you submit that information, because you want to make sure you get it right. So the other thing I was going to say in terms of this document, there's no fee to file right now. As of today, that could change tomorrow. You never know if the government changes things. But as of today, there's no fee to file. So you don't have to incur a cost. The only cost is your time to submit this information. So get it done as soon as you possibly can, but making sure that you have to if you don't fall into one of those exemptions.
Yeah. No, I love it. Hey, look, I'm going to encourage you, put 30 minutes into your work calendar right now where you're just going to sit down. I see Anna had pulled up something in our backstage. So I'm going to bring it up, and I'm sure Amanda's going to be like, yes, this is what she's talking about.
I did. I pulled up I just pulled up the FinCEN BOI reporting page. This is what's on it, just to give everyone an idea of what they have here. It's very short, succinct, right? And then you just click on these. How do I qualify? How do I get an ID? And then this is the filing system here and an FAQ. And it's very informative. I've gone through the process. This website told me everything that I needed to know. Here, all the questions that are here at the top give you all of the information that you would need to know about, even updating a report if something changed, what a reporting company, what the information is being used for, why you have to do it. I just appreciated the detail that was in the website. They really have tried to make it, I think, I'm going to call it even user friendly, which for a government filing is like a big deal to have something that's easier than not. But I love also your advice, Amanda, that if you are a larger company or if you do have any questions, like having somebody help you through this process is the better option than just winging it and getting it wrong, putting the wrong information in there.
And then just again, very important, which we've all mentioned here, Amanda especially, seek legal counsel if you have questions, because they're the ones that you should seek next. Should that web page and the FAQs that you're seeing there, I'll be honest, I would be a person that seeks Amanda, probably because I'm overwhelmed by the information that's on that page. I'm going to be honest with you. I filed only because Anna said how easy it was. So I didn't even look at it. But this is the true life of an entrepreneur when they get overwhelmed. I do get overwhelmed by things like this. I didn't look at anything extra. I just filled in what I needed to, put in the information. And because I knew Anna did it, I was like, I should be fine. Now, that's probably not the right mindset. Amanda, we should go into it with a little bit more research. But I'm a person that would need Amanda 100%.
Yeah. And then, and to your point, like if you have someone that you trust and you can work with, so the clients that I'm working with and helping them fill this out, part of it is they're like, look, Amanda, I trust you. Can you handle this? I have 5,000 other things to do. Please. You know what I mean? And I'm like, great. My team and I, we got you. This is in our wheelhouse. This is regarding the law. So we can do this. And it's pretty hilarious having your clients come to you and be like, can you just handle this? Cause I don't have time. And I'm like, we got you. But your point is well taken, which is just like communicating with your fellow entrepreneurs and getting this message out there so that you are in compliance, right? Like you're saying, like we were talking about earlier, good corporate hygiene. This is just one of those other things to check on the box, right? Check down the list of things to do, right? I filed a company, I created a company, I had to submit my annual report. Did I submit my BOI report, right? The other thing I wanted to mention is if you have more than one company, yes, you should report for each company. Okay. So it's not just, one company, I own 3 and I submit one form. No, you want to make sure that each of your companies are accounted for. So I just wanted to make sure I made that clear. The other thing I was going to say, which has been a bit contentious, has been even in the circles that I'm in, is the fact that the federal government is collecting all of this data, and again, to crack down on these crimes that we were talking about. But this is a lot of sensitive information that we are sharing. And so we're handing this over and we're putting it in this big database for the federal government. And from our understanding, this information is not accessible to the public. This is very much under lock and key, as it's just supposed to be. And it's only going to be available to people within this organization, the federal government, this FinCEN organization, and particular parties there. But it's not publicly available. That being said, still, you will want to make sure you're working with somebody that you trust if they're going to help you submit this information, because you are handing over very sensitive information about yourself, right? You are handing over address, name. You're handing over, if I remember correctly, your ID, right? Your government ID, copies of that, and things like that. So very sensitive information. I would urge your listeners to make sure you are not working with just anybody to submit this information, but someone that's trusted and someone that is accountable, like a professional. Please don't, because there are businesses out here that are saying, we can help you fill out this BOI report for $10 or $25 because it's easy breezy. This information is far too sensitive to trust just anybody with an outbreak.
Thank you for saying that. And I think I really do encourage people do the research. And Kate, we talked about this the last time, and I know like you're Georgia or Chicago? I know you're Chicago born.
Illinois, yeah, Chicago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you help somebody in Texas if they wanted to get you for this particular service for BOI reporting filing? Is that something you and your team could provide to anybody in the nation?
Absolutely, because this is federal law. Okay. So when it comes to federal law, we are licensed to practice anywhere. If it's state specific, then we would have to partner with local counsel in your jurisdiction.
Okay. Perfect. Mm-hmm. Guys, you heard it here. If you don't be like a Selena and if you feel like get somebody. And again, I think this is the second time we've had Amanda on, and we've really valued everything she has shared with us. Mm-hmm. So do it if you need to.
I was going to mention one other thing, because I know that this was something that we were talking about in the background, and I want to speak on it because I know there have been headlines about, is the BOI report constitutional? And so let me just speak about that for a second here. So FinCEN, the government agency that we've been talking about today, has issued this rule, right? And so there are companies now that are suing FinCEN to stop them from enacting this rule, stop them from enforcing this rule against companies. And for a whole host of reasons, they believe that FinCEN actually doesn't have the power to do this. The U.S. Treasury Department doesn't have the power to do this. And whether or not they are correct, however, that being said, because these headlines are out there suggesting that this BOI reporting is unconstitutional, people are wondering, do I have to comply with this rule if they're in court litigating this issue right now? Here is the response that FinCEN has essentially said. They have said, until we get a full injunction, until we are told we cannot enforce this rule, we will be enforcing this rule. Okay. And right now, based upon what I've read thus far, the court case, the one seminal court case that has come down about this, has determined that FinCEN cannot enforce this rule against the plaintiffs in this particular case. And this was a federal district court in Alabama. So FinCEN cannot enforce the rule against those plaintiffs, but said nothing about anyone else, right? What does that tell you? If you weren't that plaintiff in that case, then you need to be listening to what the FinCEN, the agency, is saying, which is they're going to enforce this rule until they are told they cannot. And right now, as far as I know, they have not been told they cannot enforce this rule.
I'm so glad you brought that up, just because you are right. Some people might go, okay, I'm going to go look into this. And then the headlines that come up in Google, right? The unconstitutional. And then it makes them pause. Wait, I thought it was. So I love that you did say, hey, right now it's still something you have to do until there is official word out that the courts have said you do not have to, whatever.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that, because I think that's super important, because we are all researchers, right? Because I know, Anna, if you went and you saw unconstitutional, you would totally pause and say, look at this. Maybe I don't need to do it.
I would say, I probably don't need to do this. And then I would forget about it. And then Amanda would send me a newsletter. And then it would be like, you are now tardy and at risk of $500 a day fines or going to prison for 2 years. Neither of which I can afford at this point in my life. right?
Right.
So
Yeah, not with the grocery prices like right now.
Right. Okay. That's another show. We're gonna have Amanda
$500
on for multiple reasons.
I'm like, if I'm
Let's
gonna
talk
spend
about groceries.
$500 a day, it's gonna be on a tropical vacation,
Yeah.
doing
Thank
something
you.
lush. It's not gonna be giving it to the federal government because I failed to
No.
file a report.
Yeah.
We pay enough in taxes already. So the other point that I was going to mention about the newsletter is that we are following this, and so we will be updating through our newsletter information that business owners need to know regarding this report. So if you are on our newsletter, you'll get this information. If you're not, please join so that you can stay abreast of this information too.
You know what? That is a perfect segue. I know we had another like question, but I think you really like ended it perfectly. I want, okay, we're going to talk about what you need to do. And the toolkit that we love sharing is today, right? I want to say this before I have Amanda sell it again, but I actually acted on this. Anna actually acted on this because we got one of Amanda's emails to say, hey, are you one of the 47% of small business owners that doesn't know this information? And Anna was like, she read it. Anyway, there's value here. And I'll be honest, like I didn't see the email initially. And I was like, what? I always see Amanda's email. Anna brought it up. So I went and I was like, here's how this whole thing happened, having Amanda on the show today. Amanda, oh my gosh, can I include you in my newsletter because it's so important? Yes. We went back and I was like, you know what? Would you love to come back on the show and talk about this? Because this is so important. Yes. That's what being part of her newsletter is. I'm not saying she's going to accept every invitation to a show. She's got to make sure it's right. But the value is there, guys. And so when I was able to open it up because I knew and read through it. So Amanda, tell people why or whatever you'd like to say. Join it up.
I'm gonna sell it. Can I sell it for you for just a second? Yeah. Right? Okay. So let me just tell you a little secret, right? I don't read a lot of the promotional emails that come into my inbox, but I read every single time I get one from Amanda. I read it. Your last one was on AI, generative AI. Like I even know what your last email was about. And this is because in the legal world, I don't know anything. I am not a lawyer. I am not studying it. I am not keeping abreast of what is happening as a small business owner. Guess who is? That lady right there up ahead of me. And she shares like these nuggets of wisdom, or at least points where I'm like, I need to be aware of this and pay attention to this. So using ChatGPT, can it get me in trouble? Guess what? You're going to find out if you're reading Amanda's newsletter. Guess what? You're not going to know if you're not reading Amanda's newsletter. I'm just going to throw that out there, right? And it was the same with the BOI reporting for me. I had just filed from sole proprietor to LLC, and your newsletter dropped in my inbox. Talk about timeliness. And I went, oh, I only have 90 days to file. I'm going to just get this done right now because I have all my documents right here for me. And that's what spurred me to do that. So just listen, I don't read all my emails, but I read Amanda's. That's the best. That's one of the best like promos I can throw out there for you guys.
I truly appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. And I'm so glad that it's brought a lot of value. And also that you knew 90 days. See, chef's kiss. Amazing. And you're right. In our newsletter, we are not, they're not promos for anything. We're not, hey, sign up for this, blah, blah, blah. It's really, here's information you need as a CEO to make sure that you are protecting your business. And if you would like us to help you, let's go. Let's do it. Otherwise, please take this information and apply it. I'm going to mention one of our newsletters is now on the brand new Federal Trade Commission's non-compete ban. And this is major. This is a major update. It's sending shockwaves through the country and for business owners. So that is something else that people will want to know. So sign up for the newsletter. You get to learn about how that affects your business too. So thank you for promoting that newsletter. It's a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, no, 100%. That was the last one I read. I forgot. There was generative AI, and then it was the non-compete ban. And
you're on it.
2 days
Yeah.
ago.
You are on it. I love it so much.
Oh my gosh. Stop showing off, Anna. Like, gosh. No.
What I'm saying though is like this is an area I am not brilliant in this area. So I just really appreciate you sharing that information in such a way that it's consumable for somebody like myself to know what my next steps need to be. So I appreciate that a lot, Amanda. And I think as a legal person, a lawyer, that's what we call you, a lawyer. As a lawyer, I don't find that all the time, where sometimes the language I don't understand and resonate with. You always write it in such a way where as a business owner, I feel like I know what you're saying to me and I know what my next steps need to be in that situation. So that's a big deal for a newsletter also. They're good ones. Yeah,
I appreciate that. And I definitely try to make sure that we make the language accessible, because what good is it if I'm speaking legal jargon and it doesn't land? I'm not doing any favors to my clients and not helping them. And also, I don't need to prove how smart I am, right? My goal is to make sure that I'm helping my clients, potential clients, and people in my community. So I am glad that it's easy to understand, because if not, I'm not doing my job.
No, it's hitting it. Amanda, tell everybody other than your newsletter that they should be signing up for immediately today. We're going to drop it in the comments on LinkedIn when this airs. It will be in every description we have. So don't worry. But Amanda, tell everybody where else to connect with you.
Yes. So you can certainly find us on our website, stouteegylaw.com. And I am all over LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is another place where you can find me. I am posting practically every day, if not every other day, with updates as well. So what you'll find me posting on LinkedIn will probably be like a snippet of what you'll find in the newsletter. And then also maybe I'll share a bit or two about my personal life with you all, just to let you know that I am human.
Like, you are the most stylish lawyer I've ever met in my life. I love your pictures that you share. I'm like, man, she looks so good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Like, how is that even possible?
Amanda's like, stop it, give it, stop it.
I'm blushing over here. Just thank you for that. Yeah, it's my way of trying to make this stuff fun. But I think I said this earlier today while we were talking, and I told you I promised I would mention it on the show, which is this.
Yeah.
When I first started my business, by the way, I have submitted my BOI report too, so that you all know. When I first started my business, I was like, oh, marketing, nobody's going to want to hear about this boring legal stuff. And to my surprise, it has been the most amazing response. People are like, what? No, please tell me more. So I am very happy to be able to make this stuff digestible, easy to read, actionable, and interesting. And if that includes my pictures, so be it.
Right.
It does. Look, that just makes me want to stop scrolling.
Even for an attorney, right? Marketing is still something that you have to try to figure out how to deliver what your service is. But okay, look, we're at the end of the show. I don't want Amanda to leave, but I have to put on this Oscar music because Anna always has to cut me off because I talk. And Anna's gonna seal us out. Go ahead, Anna.
I'm just going to say thank you so much, Amanda, for being here with us today. We so appreciate all the wisdom you've provided about the BOI reporting. I hope everybody listening goes and takes advantage of this and gets that filing done. And for everyone else, thank you for joining us on the 15-ish minute coffee chat with Anna and Selena. Head down to our website. You can find the blog with all of the information about the show today, including easy to click links to get on Amanda's newsletter and to get on Anna and Selena's newsletter. So thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time on the 15-ish minute coffee chat.
Bye, everybody. Oh my gosh. Did they actually make it to the outro music?
I told you this would work, Selena.
Okay. Well, thanks for tuning in to today's show. Now head on over to annaandselena.com to listen to more of the 15-ish minute coffee chat. We've got over 100 episodes, all geared to making your businesses more fun and profitable.